Welcome in, everybody. This is the Fantasy Blitz podcast. Chris, Jimmy here with you. We are powered by Sports Lounge Media, and sponsored by the mobile brand. Hey guys, we're just sitting here. We're getting ready to talk some football. Not a lot going on nowadays. We only got one big game left, and that's it.
The
So
biggest.
that's the biggest. I couldn't be happier to be there, man. I mean, just for me in general, as an Eagles fan, obviously. What's your kind of before we dig into things? What's your kind of take on it? I mean, this is a
Yeah,
bowl
no.
that nobody wanted to see, in my opinion.
Well,
It feels like.
America's Bowl was the Bills Commanders, obviously, but
Yeah,
deep down, I kind of want to say I want to see the rematch. I wanted to see Barkley run it down their throats just like he has been everyone else. Um, my thing is though, if you guys don't get it done this year, where do you go from here?
yeah,
Because I felt like that this was a down year for the Chiefs, and they just keep proving me wrong every game. And what more can you guys add?
yeah.
I feel like you guys have a squad. I mean, Jalen Carter came alive this year. I mean,
Yeah,
it's been so awesome to watch.
for sure. And it's listen. I kind of threw up the analogy the other day, and it kind of caught a lot of eyes and ears. But for us comic book fans, for us Marvel fans, right? It did take the Avengers twice to bring down Thanos. Let's not forget to let's not
You
forget
did.
that. Sometimes it takes some backing up and putting your tail between your legs and recuperating and getting the job done another time. So I don't see in my head, you can call it whatever you want. I only see this Super Bowl playing out one way. Um, and it's with us on top. I agree that this is probably the best defense that we have faced in the postseason next to the Rams. Um, you know, but nothing absolutely scares me about this team. 2 years ago, we go back to the rosters 2 years ago when we faced off. The Eagles have gotten substantially better.
Mm.
A lot of the same players, O line, all pro, Saquon. You got some of the same pieces. Cooper DeJean, Quinion Mitchell. This defense is playing lights out.
Yeah.
And I think that, in my opinion, the only thing that I can really say about the Chiefs is that the wide receiver room has gotten better. That's the only thing in my
You
opinion.
you could say it gotten better. I think it got more murky. Like just adding players isn't going to help you. Yes, DeAndre Hopkins is a Hall of Famer. But you have
Yeah,
Juju, you have Worthy, you have Rice, you have Watson, you have and the list goes on. And
absolutely.
so I guess it's an upgrade if you compare it to Kadarius Toney. You know what I mean?
Right.
Hunt
Yeah.
to McKinnon. So in those terms, yes, it's an upgrade, but it's still Patrick Mahomes.
And I get it. I get it. There's always some voodoo, dark magic, brother. There's
Yeah.
always something in there. I promise you. As a
Like
Denver
I,
fan,
I, ju-
I'm
I
sure you
just
realize.
hope, I just hope Kelsey retires. I hope that this is his last year.
Is this one of your brothers?
It is. It's my
He
little
said
brother.
he's boycotting. He said.
Yeah.
So let's just get down dirty into it, man. I don't know if you or did you fully watch both games this weekend, or
I didn't watch fully. I watched the Commanders Eagles game fully and had to leave in the middle of the second quarter of
that's
the
all right.
Bills.
You didn't want to watch
It
that
was it was it
because
was, it was like the last play I watched was the double face mask where they both grabbed each other's face mask and it was a flag for the Chiefs in the Chiefs' favor. And so I was
yeah.
like,
There was a couple questionable calls I think all weekend. On all four teams in my
mm,
personal opinion. But yeah, watching that Bills Chiefs game, man. In my personal opinion, on that 4th and 1, I still think Josh Allen picked up that first. I think they kind of either moved the sticks up or moved the ball back. You seen one line judge signal first down, one say no. It was kind of a confusing
right.
scene there, but the worthy catch for me.
And
Um,
Ground.
Came down with it. I thought it hit the ground. I thought the ground kind of saved it from being from it being even remotely a catch.
Anywhere else, that would have been a no catch.
Yeah.
The ground, it touched the ground.
Yeah.
It touched the ground. Like,
and you got Travis Kelce, who I think is getting ahead of himself, and he's, getting in players' faces, doing the whole taunting thing, and it's just kind of like, where do we draw the line with, the rest of the NFL would have been flagged for that. Yeah. And, it's just the Chiefs. Let's just let the Chiefs be the Chiefs.
Just the Chiefs.
But yeah, hey, man, listen, Eagles, Commanders, 55 points on the dome piece, 30 plus points defeated by, I couldn't have seen that coming. I couldn't have. I thought it was going to be a close game all week. And, I don't think that Washington played bad.
No.
They just couldn't hold on to the ball. 3 turnovers, 3 fumbles. We scored 21 points off of those turnovers. And that's what you have to do to win ball games. You have to score points off of turnovers. And
that's what you guys did.
And yeah, we're the league leader in forced fumbles. I didn't realize that until this week. These guys are flying around, ball hawking, and it was a beautiful, beautiful scene. But again, if you would have told me that we were putting up 55, I probably would have told you were crazy.
Yeah, I would have told you were crazy.
Yeah, I definitely didn't see that. But I mean, listen, the offense was flawless. It was absolutely just on point. And that's what we're going to have to do to be able to go into the Super Bowl and win another one. I mean, against the Chiefs, we have to be perfect.
Yeah.
And that's just how you beat the Chiefs, man. If you look at the Bills game where the Bills beat the Chiefs this last regular season, Josh Allen absolutely put the ball in his hands and he went off. He gave the refs no way, no shape or form to beat him. And, that's what we have to do. We have to give these guys the least amount of opportunities to screw you.
Yeah.
You have to keep the ball in Mahomes' hands.
Exactly. You got to keep it on your offense.
Yep.
That's the only way that you beat them. Keep it in your hands. Force turnovers, keep it in your hands.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, the 18-play drive in the beginning, it kind of made me a little unsettled. I didn't think the defense was going to get off the field. I was like, oh, here we go again. Us and Washington are tied for the longest, for the most 10-plus play drives in the NFL this season. Tied.
I did not know that.
So that was an interesting fact going into the game. I did not know that until the game actually started. But they took the lead on that, on that first opening drive, and I was a little unsettled. It was a little nerve-wracking to know that, our defense could be gassed from the start. And lo and behold, you give it to Saquon Barkley one time, he does what he does best, and he takes it to the house. And
beast.
I kind of felt I had mixed feelings, man. I had mixed emotions because I'm like praying that the defense gets a break, and then I'm jumping out of my seat because Saquon's doing what he wants to do. But then I'm like, fuck, man, the defense has got to go right back out there and do it again. Yep. So, but for that play to end up in 3 points, man, I think it kind of set it all for me in that game. If it takes you 18 plays and 2 fourth-down conversions and all these things to just get 3 points, I mean, I just didn't see it boding well for them all game. But, hey, Jalen was on point. Saquon only 15 carries, 3 touchdowns. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better day. But all praise to Jaden Daniels, man. I mean, the guy had a phenomenal season.
Yeah.
I've told Washington fans all week that I would not be surprised if we played them 3 times next year as well.
Yeah.
I think he's going to attract a lot of talent. They have $93 million, dollars in cap space. They are going to attract talent.
And they already got a good squad too.
Yeah, and like people like I know Bobby Wagner's a free agent. They have a couple pieces that they're going to have to replace or keep around. But in my opinion, one of the biggest things for free agents to go to be successful is to have a franchise quarterback, and I think that Washington definitely has that.
Yeah.
I was talking to Tyler the other day, and it was just kind of a funny conversation, and I was like, did the Bears fuck up again? Did they take the wrong quarterback again? This wouldn't be the first time. They passed on Patrick Mahomes. They passed on. They took Trubisky that draft, didn't they? Took Trubisky in the Mahomes draft, and then they drafted Fields. Right, the Fields experiment kind of failed after that. I don't think it was Fields' fault. Kind of an organization issue, and I think you're seeing the same thing with Caleb. But obviously, if you add a talent like Jaden Daniels into that mix, it obviously changes your whole culture because nobody's seen Washington win in 12 games this year.
No.
And that was all on Jaden Daniels' back. So, again, hats off to him. Respect, by all means. But again, by 30 points, I definitely did not see that. So,
right.
But yeah, next game, Chiefs and Bills. It was close down to the wire.
Yep.
I still feel like Josh Allen had his chance. I also kind of feel like he might have dropped the ball a little bit. Like I said, I think that 4th and 1 quarterback sneak, I think it kind of should have been reviewed a little bit closer. It kind of amazes me how like tennis, right? Like tennis and all these other sports have this technology that tells you exactly where the ball was and, by centimeters. I mean, just by millimeters if you really want to. But, I just, it is what it is. It's the NFL. And again, I not to take anything away from the Chiefs, but, I feel like Josh Allen had his chance and he lost it. But, like I said, if you didn't, what part of the games you watched, what did you think? That game?
Yeah. So, I mean, like it was a close game out the gate. I only watched up into a little bit of the second quarter. So I didn't watch, 2.5 quarters of that game.
Right.
But both sides looked pretty competitive in that first quarter. Like I saw them both playing hard. Like they were, they weren't taking it easy on the Chiefs. The defense was playing good. They forced a turnover when I was watching. So they had their chances, right?
Yeah.
I quit watching when there was the double face mask, and then it went in the favor of the Chiefs, where each player grabbed the face mask, and that was kind of like, all right, I got work to do. Pretty much know how this is going to end at this point. No disrespect to Josh Allen, but
games get physical at this point of year, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, Philly and Washington was definitely physical. A.J. Brown, Lattimore got into it. It gets chippy this time of year, but because there's no room for error, right? You make a mistake and it's heightened, and you go home.
Yeah,
I mean, it is what it is. But I think, and again, for me, we're getting, for some reason. And it's just one of those things where you stick around and for long enough and you see yourself become the villain. But I remember 2 years ago when all of America was rooting for us to take down the Chiefs, and it was just a bona fide effort, and now it's just the two of lesser evils type of deal. And like I said, I just feel like it's just the bowl that nobody wanted to watch, and it's crazy to me because I think arguably these are the two best teams in each conference. And that's the way it should be, right? There was no upsets. There was really no dramatic games besides, I would maybe say, Washington beating Detroit. But, other than that, I think everybody kind of took care of business that should have.
Yeah. The only other game this year that surprised me in the playoffs was the Texans taking care of the Chargers. I expected the Chargers to put up a little bit more of a fight. Justin Herbert threw as many turnovers as he had all season in that game.
Yeah.
He had him on his heels, and so that was a little bit surprising to me.
Bad game, though.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a tough time to have a bad game, but I think they'll be okay. I mean, Jim Harbaugh's first season took them to the playoffs, turned them around. I think that they will get more weapons next year. Again, attracting because of the coaching. You have a franchise quarterback. He just has to be better in the postseason. I mean, that's just he's phenomenal during the regular season, and then the 2 playoffs that he's been to, he really hasn't done much. But again, they need a run game, I mean, I feel like Gus Edwards was hurt all year. J.K. Dobbins was up and down. They need a healthy running back room to go along with, Lad McConkey is going to need some type of help. I mean, you know what I mean? It's kind of like a Brock Bowers situation. That's really all they have. Quentin Johnson is.
He's not that second.
No, he's not that guy. He's a drop machine. This is now his sophomore year in the NFL. You have to move past those drops as a player in your sophomore year. Joshua Palmer's no better than a wide receiver 3 in this league, in my opinion. They just got to get help. But other than that, I think that the one team for me that will be affected the most. Excuse me, sorry, my cord got caught. The one team that's going to be affected the most that made this playoff, that possibly will not make next year's playoff, and I think this will shock a lot of people, but I think it really is the Detroit Lions. We have to start realizing, did the window close for them already? I understand Dan Campbell's a fantastic coach. Your defense was depleted with injuries all season. I also understand that. Your offense is still intact. But what you did lose is you lost 2 vital pieces in both coordinators. Right. And we have not seen in recent time a football team lose both coordinators and make it to the Super Bowl the next season.
Yeah.
Or even make the playoffs.
At all.
So, the Eagles that last year was the last team to do it when they lost Shane Steichen and I can't remember our defensive coordinator. But anyway, we had lost both coordinators, and it was kind of a rough time. So I kind of feel I know what that kind of feels like, and it really is a reset. Every coordinator has a different mindset, whether it's Kellen Moore or Ben Johnson or Aaron Glenn. Everybody has a different mindset, especially when it comes to coaching. So I feel like it's going to be hard for them to replace that. And it's going to be interesting enough to see if they can hold the top of the mountain next year, but I don't think they're going to be able to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like we sit here and we say this, Ben Johnson goes to the Bears. That division is still super competitive. Still have the Vikings, still have the Bears, still have.
Absolutely. Especially with the Bears getting Ben Johnson. I mean, I keep trying to tell Tyler he's still adamant about this hiring. He's like, I don't think this is the right choice. I wanted somebody with division experience and like Mike McCarthy. Well, you got to realize, I mean, Ben Johnson doesn't have as much experience, but he does have that little bit. He stayed within the division. I think he reminds me a lot of Sean McVay as a young offensive-minded coach that could really, help his quarterback out.
Really open it up for his team.
Yeah, I think you will see a resurgence. Maybe not a resurgence is a poor word, but an improvement. Maybe a comeback player of the year type year for Caleb Williams, especially with Ben Johnson being able to draw up a lot more than, the plain vanilla offense. On the other side of that, I actually do see Jaden Daniels taking a drop. Now, when I say drop, I don't mean that he's going to have a bad year, not by any means, but when you're a rookie quarterback and you go out and you do what he just did this season, there is a type of urgency in the next season to game plan for that, right? They have plenty of film on you. They have a full year of film. They're going to be paying attention to these things. So either you adapt or they adapt.
Right.
And I think that's where you're going to see that drop off of in performance. Again, not saying he's going to have a bad year because I don't think so. But I don't think that he will have the same rookie year that he did this year. Because, again, nobody had tape on him. I mean, it's kind of hard to defend somebody like that, especially with a dual threat quarterback when you don't have, all the game tape in the world. So, I do, like I said, I do see him taking a drop off in production, but again, it's not going to be a porous season by any means. Let's run down some coaching. And then we'll get to the Super Bowl. But how do you feel about? We ran down a few last week. How do you feel about Aaron Glenn in the Jets organization? Possibly bringing back Aaron Rodgers.
I don't know that Aaron plays another year.
Well, apparently Aaron Rodgers was done. The Jets and Aaron Rodgers were done. I think that had a lot to do with what the coaching was at the time. They get a brand new head coach. I guess him and Aaron have already discussed him playing another year, and Aaron is on board. Aaron is on board as long as Aaron Glenn is the coach, which now he is.
And as long as he has Adams, I assume.
Yeah, and I think that'll probably be a pretty vital part. And
well, good. That means they can trade Garrett Wilson to us.
Absolutely. I think Garrett Wilson is going to be a trade piece this next year. I think the Jets. So awesome. I think the Jets in the first round will probably take a stab at a wide receiver.
Yeah.
And that's just my personal opinion. I think there's a couple wide receivers at the Senior Bowl that kind of caught my eye a little bit that may have made their draft stock go from second round to first round. But we'll get more into that next week. The only coaching vacancy that's left is New Orleans. Who do you kind of see filling that void?
I don't know. I really thought it was going to be Kellen Moore, but I don't know. Dennis Allen
he did an in-person. He did an in-person interview last night, apparently.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a wild card. They could just do kind of like what the Cowboys did and just. Oh, okay. We're just gonna bring this person up from our third string linebacker coach and make him our head coach. And I don't see the Saints doing that, but it's just gonna be someone out of the blue that I don't know. I
honestly think when it comes to Kellen Moore, in my personal opinion, obviously I'm not Kellen Moore, so it's hard to say for sure. But in my personal opinion, the one job that would have made him leave Philadelphia was the Dallas head coaching job. It was kind of familiar territory for him. He goes back with Dak, who he's familiar with, Jerry Jones, who he's familiar with. Kellen Moore kind of seems like a yes man to me.
Right.
So I would imagine he would have fit in. But the crazy thing is Dallas didn't even interview him. Dallas didn't interview Ben Johnson. They didn't interview Kellen Moore. They didn't interview Aaron Glenn, Mike Vrabel. They didn't interview anybody. Jerry Jones is. He was in a press conference the other day and said that Schottenheimer is going to lead them to the promised land. And Schottenheimer came back and said that Dak is their quarterback and he's here to win championships. The classic Dallas thing,
Every year they get further and further away.
I can agree. I mean, it's the world is not shocked. By your moves. You know what I mean? It was the most Dallas thing to do ever.
The best thing for Dallas right now is to trade Dak away. Like their very best thing is to trade Dak away, get some capital, have a down year, admit it, have a down year, and come back firing with 2 years worth of draft picks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm glad that you said that. I'm glad that you said that because I had brought that up the other day and. A lot of people just go to the fact that I don't know where I was going with that. Just had a brain fart.
There you go. Dallas needs to cut it down. Cut it down, do a redo. Like that, they're not making it anywhere. Parsons is coming up on a big contract. They're not going to be able to pay all three.
Yeah. And that's where I was going with it was the whole Micah Parsons thing, right? If you don't cut Dak, everybody's thing is the big money, right? Oh, it's $90 million. Okay, well, guess what, guys? We've seen this recently, very recently. Denver got rid of Russell Wilson, cut all the dead cap. They're doing just fine.
80 mil.
Yeah, they're doing just fine.
We went to the playoffs with a nobody. We were a nobody this year. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Our coach went out and got the guy that he believed in and put together a hell of a year. Who on our team is a superstar besides Pat Surtain? Before this season, that was literally the only name everyone knew.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Yep. I can agree. I mean, rookie quarterback, I think Cortland Sutton's a top 15 wide receiver in the league. I don't think he's a slouch by any means.
Well, I mean, just like the previous years before Bo Nix, he didn't even hit 1,000 yards. You
Yeah,
know, for most of his career,
yeah,
and so it's just kind of like, oh, Cortland Sutton, yeah, he's a consistent. He'll get you a solid 750 yards a year.
right,
Big
right.
target guy. But we have no tight ends to speak of, no running backs to speak of, no defensive line. No, like right now, our offensive line is the most stable thing of our team because right now, this year was our second year of them being together.
Correct.
I feel like that if we're able to keep this line for another 2 years, good things will happen.
Right. I mean, for me, what do you do with Cortland Sutton in your opinion? I know he's a free agent this year. I'm pretty sure, but
we need to keep him another year. Like we need another wide receiver, pair him up with someone. If he explode, like if we're able to get Garrett Wilson, that's 2 huge targets for Bo.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be more happy.
I mean, what do you do with Deshaun Vale? What do you do with Marvin Mims? What do you do with?
Yeah.
I know Troy Franklin's kind of maybe out of the mix right now until he does something better. But
well, even then, Vele's kind of would be that third guy anyways. Marvin Mims would be our returner, our Swiss Army knife type gadget player, those swing passes, those short runs, which he's really, really good at. Like we got to open this up. But I like the direction that we're headed.
Right. I can agree.
Franklin was a little bit disappointing this year. I thought there would be a lot more of a connection there.
So what's your? I mean, I think Genty is the number one player you would like in the draft.
Yeah.
What would be? I mean, besides that obvious pick, what would be your ideal position that the Broncos would focus on in the first round?
Tight end. Tight end would be the next. I would hope Tyler Warren. If Genty's not there, I hope we grab someone like Tyler Warren. My problem with this is that I would rather a veteran running back in this stance and Aaron Jones, James Conner, Najee Harris, any of these guys that are, still have a year's worth of juice in the tank, just see what they got, that have consistently produced. And I'm also good with getting a tight end, David Njoku, Evan Ingram, Dalton Schultz, just another target,
Yeah.
So if you're asking me what I prefer, I don't know which way they're going to go. So we need our deepest need besides the free agent that way is a run stopper. We have got to stop the run. Our defense stepped up this year, but we need a big guy right in the middle.
Right.
That just will shut it down.
Run stopper. I get that. We go back to the quarterback situation. We saw the same thing happen with Kirk Cousins this past season. Didn't perform up to the expectations that Atlanta paid him to do. And we kind of saw Michael Penix Jr. at the end of the year. Obviously, in my personal opinion, they are going to cut ties with Kirk Cousins. Where do you kind of see Kirk Cousins going from here?
I don't know. I read a report that says that they're going to keep him as a backup, but I don't know that they do that.
That's an expensive backup.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you might as well at least there's so many quarterback needy teams in this draft class.
I don't know. I feel like that he comes to the AFC. The Raiders is a glaring hole, right? I know that they draft a quarterback, but let him sit behind Kirk Cousins for a year. Bring in DK Metcalf. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, Geno Smith is going to the Raiders now." I don't know.
I see Russell Wilson going before I do Geno Smith.
Right, exactly. So
Russell Wilson, and it's a simple answer. Yeah. Geno Smith, they would have to, I believe, trade for.
Right.
Who still has, I believe, 1 year left on his contract. I may be wrong about that, and I apologize if I am. But I do believe he still has 1 year left on his contract. So that would have forced a trade. Now, Russell Wilson was on a 1 year deal. And I think, honestly, being Pete Carroll, the head coach in there, I think you could persuade Russell Wilson to go to Las Vegas for the next 2 to 3 years.
Well, not only that, get a little bit of revenge on the team that dumped him on his ass because he's ass. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot that goes into that. Former head coach, you know, new town, new face. Fields finally gets a shot.
I could see a lot of people were saying, you know, is the possible reunion for Pete Carroll, and I think it's very possible.
Yeah.
You know, Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf is on the trade block. You could go and get Bobby Wagner and free agency. Tyler Lockett is a free agent as well.
So isn't DK also?
No, DK is a trade option. I think he still has 1 or 2 or 3 years left. I think he just got paid a couple of years ago. I think so. So, you know, but hey, I mean, I think the Raiders have what it takes. I mean, I even think that if you package Jacoby Myers and a pick, it would be very easily to go get DK, and then you sign whoever you need to sign. Maybe you get in the Garrett Wilson sweepstakes, and you know what I mean. It is what it is, but I think that reunion is definitely possible.
Do you think Cousins would go to the Browns? Like I don't know where he would go. Like I don't.
I feel like Cleveland is the purgatory. It really is. Just like, so it could happen.
Back, you know,
it could happen. Kirk, I feel like needs the purgatory at some point. You know, but I could see. I'm trying to think. I mean, I could see kind of one of these teams that are going to draft a quarterback, maybe like a Tennessee Titan, or even maybe a Cleveland Browns team, or a Las Vegas Raiders team. If they don't sign a veteran and they go to the draft, I could see them signing a Russell Wilson or Kirk Cousins. Obviously, I think that Kirk Cousins will not be a trade option, as they will probably dump the contract as seen in past. But, you know, you signed Kirk Cousins to a 1-2 year deal. Obviously, it's going to be a lot cheaper considering his play last year. But I could see a veteran signing and maybe mentoring one of these rookies for a year. And then
I also see Seattle drafting a quarterback.
Yeah, because Geno Smith's time is coming up big time.
Yeah.
Another team I can give you that is on the outlook for a quarterback, and that's the LA Rams. Watch out for Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart to the Rams is a very, very hot take right now. You know, Matthew Stafford doesn't know if he's coming back next year, maybe has a year or 2 left. I think he's a perfect mentor for a quarterback such as Jackson Dart, who has, after the Senior Bowl, just lit up draft boards. You know, and for me, I think it would be a good fit. You know, the Rams, the last time that they had drafted somebody in quarterback position was Jared Goff.
Right.
And, you know, that kind of worked out for them. They went to the Super Bowl and then traded him for Matthew Stafford and went to another Super Bowl.
And got him, yeah.
And so, you know, but I think that's another team that you need to watch out for, and maybe trading up or you know, moving some pieces around so that way they can draft their next franchise quarterback. Yeah. So I think that's a pretty good one. But for me, man, so what's the take on this Super Bowl? Let's just get into the nitty and the gritty. What needs to happen on both sides here?
All right, Chiefs, we already know what Mahomes has. Like, Worthy's a fast man. He's a fast boy.
Yes, absolutely.
You have got to put the gene on that man and let him follow him around. Like, that's what it is, right? Kelsey, I don't know. Their offense is good.
He only had 3 catches last week.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Yeah. Jalen Carter has got to get through.
Absolutely.
He's got to. Yeah. Zach Bond is a beast.
Has to perform. Zach Bond on Travis Kelsey, which I love. You know, Mitchell, DeJean on Hopkins, Hollywood Brown, Worthy. I get it. I think we have the secondary to at least
to stand up, to go man to man
up to these guys. You have Darius
Slay. Everyone has had to go zone against the Chiefs. Yes. I can't wait to see what this man, because you're
if you tell me that Vic, and you are very familiar with this defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
If you are going to sit here and tell me, and this goes for Chiefs fans, this goes for Eagles fans, this goes for anybody. if you're going to sit there and tell me that Vic is just going to sit back and play zone the entire game, you are so heavily mistaken. This guy is going to draw some stuff up, man. He has one of the youngest defenses, one of the hottest defenses. He is going to bring some packages that are going to cause some
blow
disruption.
their mind. Yeah.
Yes.
Just be careful. Be careful.
Carter, I think, has to be huge.
Yeah. I hope that he does more of a swatting technique than a sacking technique. I mean, that's what it's got to be. Swatting his hands.
Yeah.
Don't hit him. Don't hit him. Swat the ball away. That's where you guys are getting. That's what's got to happen.
And that's been my biggest thing for now 2 weeks. Look, if you are going to get a flag when you even touch Mahomes, lay him on his ass.
Yeah.
I mean, if you are going to get a 15-yard penalty, make it worth the 15-yard penalty.
Right.
And we rattle his shit for a minute. Make him double think about his next play. Yeah. And I honestly, I really think that, I think the league is terrified to hit the guy. But I mean, again, if you're going to get the flag, you might as well. He has well.
And if the team's going to do that, it's going to be the Eagles.
Yeah,
they're gritty. They have attitude. They're gritty. They don't slow down. They're not stopping.
We are one of the more physical teams in the NFL.
Yeah, so I'm excited for it. It's gonna be such a good matchup, man. Everyone that's saying, "Oh, Barkley ain't gonna do this to our Chiefs," just watch, bro. Everyone has been saying
that's probably my most hated comment is, "Oh, well, all we have to do is stop Saquon." Okay, first of all, let's just break that down for a minute because nobody has stopped Saquon. So realistically, what is your definition of stopping Saquon? And the Washington Commander fan prior to the game had said, "Well, I feel like I'd give him the over under on 140 yards." And I'm like, okay, so let's just sit here for a second and realize that we have to give a man over under of 140 yards,
ridiculous,
to pertain him to containable. That is absolutely absurd to me. And again, there's no stopping him.
Yeah, exactly.
You can contain him, but again, containing him is around
140 and a touchdown.
Right. That's insanity. And then again, Jalen Hurts last week proved that he can do it with his arm. He's an accurate thrower when he needs to be. And again, if he needs to use his legs, he's good. I promise you that knee's just fine. So I absolutely have no worries going into this game. For me, biggest things on both sides, right? Eagles, again, I will always say it until the end of the year. These types of games are won in the trenches. We have to be powerful in the trenches. On the defensive line, we have one of the more physical offensive lines. We just have to pertain to be physical. We have to win at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, and that will help Saquon. That's going to help Jalen on the offense. Excuse me, and it's also going to rattle Patrick Mahomes on the defensive side. So
absolutely,
for me, that's what it has to be for the Eagles. This is going to be a high-scoring game, in my opinion. You are not going to shut them out. You are not going to completely stop them. Your offense just has to be that much better.
Yeah.
Now, I will say for the Chiefs, this is the best defense they will play the entirety of the year. The entirety of the year. They have not faced a defense that flies around the ball, that hits you as hard as this Philadelphia defense does. So I think that early in the game, they will get that wake-up call. But I do also give respect to Andy Reid, who's one of the greatest coaches of all time. He will make adjustments. He will make those adjustments mid-game. It will not be quarter by quarter or by halftime. It will be mid-game. But again, it's going to be, in my personal opinion, this is not going to be Saquon versus the Chiefs defense. This is not going to be Jalen versus the Chiefs. This is not going to be Patrick Mahomes versus the Philly defense. This game in particular is going to be Andy Reid versus Vic Fangio. This is what this Super Bowl comes down to. Who is the better coach? And why do I leave Nick Sirianni out of that? Well, it's because the offense is ran by Kellen Moore. The offense is playing phenomenally right now, especially after last week. I'm not worried about the offense. Where I would be concerned with the Chiefs is our defense. Our defense has to get off the field. third downs, fourth downs. We cannot allow those type of short conversions. And again, it's going to come down to the scheme. It's going to come down to the play calls. So in my personal opinion, it is going to be Andy Reid versus Vic Fangio. And may the better man win. But all respect to both coaches. It's going to be a fun one, man. It really is.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's
So,
going to be awesome.
who do you think
so
wins?
pumped for it.
I know it's a little early, but who do you think pulls it out?
I've lost money betting against the Chiefs. I have every single time.
I know.
But I want the Eagles.
Except for that Bills game. I won a couple bucks on that Bills game.
I want the Eagles to win with all my heart. There should be no team that gets a three-peat ever. Ever. Like, in my opinion. Like, it needs to switch it up. You guys need to smash them in the mouth first, second, third. You know what I mean? Like, don't ease up.
Like I said, I'll say it again. For you Marvel fans, for you comic book fans, it did. It took the Avengers twice to round up, come together to beat the big boss.
My cinematic, the cherry on top to this game for me. Do you want to know what it would be?
What's that?
The exact same thing that the Commanders did to you guys this last game. How they tried to stop the quarterback sneak, the tush push, 4 times in a row, jumping over the center.
First of all, let's touch on that rule real quick. Did you know that was a rule?
I didn't.
I did not either.
If the refs have to award your team, the Eagles, a touchdown because they neutral zone 4 times in a row, it will be my cherry on top. It will be the greatest story of all time, dude.
It was probably the most poetic
I laughed.
I've ever heard.
I have never laughed as hard as I did as Frankie Luevy jumped over that guy 3 times in a row.
There's so many memes. He's a meme now. It's a meme. It's a meme. It's what it is.
Like, usually it's just one time and they put it on repeat. He did it 3 times.
Yeah.
And I died laughing. I have never laughed so hard at a football game.
At the point that I laughed because I got frustrated because I was like, you guys, like, you're not going to stop it. Just stop. But the point that made me laugh is when Jalen, he didn't even hike the ball. He just stepped back. He just stepped back and let him fall to the ground. And he's just like, dude, what are you doing? Yeah. But the principle of it is, right? The principle of it is when he was diving over that line, he's not only kicking linemen in the head,
right? He's
climbing all over their backs. Like, I mean, it's just not a safe position to be at. No. It's just not a safe football play. Now, here we are. We're back to the same narrative about how the tush push is just an ugly play, and it shouldn't be allowed, and it should be illegal. And well, guess what? I'll say the same thing I said to you guys 2 years ago. Just beat it. Yeah. If everybody as an NFL team, if 31 other teams could do the tush push, they would.
They would, yeah.
Okay, and that's the principle of it. You can't because you don't have the correct tools. You don't have an all-pro line. You don't have a quarterback that can squat 600 pounds. You don't have these linebackers these running backs and tight ends that get behind him and they're big as shit. Just the principle of it is the closest team that gets to the tush push is the Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen. And he doesn't even do it the same way. He goes off the left guard every single time, which kind of to me is goofy because they at least know what hole you're going to. Right. Which is why I think that's deemed stoppable. Like we just seen the Chiefs stop this last Sunday. But for me, you know what I mean? We look, you know what's coming. We're on the 2-yard line, the 1-yard line, the half-inch, whatever it is, 4th and 1, 3rd and 1. You know what's coming every time.
Quarter inch.
And it's just the principle of you can't stop it. So if it really upsets you that bad, well, I'm sorry. But it is what it is. It's a legal play. Just stop it. I mean, it is what it is.
But to have the Chiefs refs have to tell the Chiefs, we will award a touchdown if you do this one more, dude. It would just be the cherry on top.
Oh my God, dude! It would, dude. Could you imagine? Just hold on. Let's paint a picture here, real quick. There's 10 seconds left in the game, and we're on the 1-yard line. You know what's coming, so obviously you're going to try to jump. You know what I mean? And then the refs are just like, you know what?
Yeah,
touchdown.
Dude,
Chiefs fans would absolutely riot.
Yeah, they would lose their minds. But it would be the greatest story of all time.
I can agree with you. I do kind of see this game playing out to be Kansas City is going to be up. It's going to be the fourth quarter. I'll even give him 2 scores. I'll say 10 points. Fourth quarter comes around. We all know what happens. Saquon is the best closer the football that has ever seen.
Yeah.
In my personal opinion. We're at one point we are going to talk about, is Saquon Barkley the best running back to ever touch a football field? We are. We're going to have that conversation one day. It's not right now. It'll be down the road. But look, these playmakers, it's the Super Bowl, right? It's star-studded. These stars have the opportunity to make a name for themselves, to make history, and I'm telling you, there is no duo that is more ready than Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. I honestly think that they are honorable mention to Lamar and Derrick Henry, but I think, in my personal opinion, Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley are the best running back quarterback duo the NFL has. Yeah, that's just my personal opinion. Lamar can't win that big game. In my personal opinion, he's a better runner, but he's not that much better of a passer. He can't make the deep playoff run like Jalen can. I mean, 2 Super Bowls in the last 2 years, that's impressive enough to me. Without a win, yes. But again, when you're getting there, there's only one more thing to do, and that's to win it. So I think that Jalen, I think Saquon, I think that a lot of these players that were in that Super Bowl have their mindset on, revenge for sure. So I think this is quite personal for a lot of players on the Eagles team, when in fact it could be deemed as personal for the Chiefs. A three-peat, you make history. I get that, but it's more historical. Than it is personal. The Eagles want revenge. They want that. And as an Eagle fan, I mean, I honestly felt like I've been missing a piece of my soul since that Super Bowl.
Well, it's like one team's fighting for history, one's fighting for revenge. Let's see who goes. Let's see who does it. And it's going to be a banger. I can feel it in my bones.
Listen, the Eagles and Chiefs 2 years ago was deemed as possibly one of the best Super Bowls ever.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts outperforms Patrick Mahomes. It comes down to the last minute we won't get started on that. A bad call, bad call.
Yeah, we know they're there. We know that. Right. We know they're coming.
Correct. And I feel like now we also know what we're up against, right? I mean, you've seen it with the Texans. You've seen it with Buffalo. They all have said the same thing. Look, we're not necessarily worried about the refs because we're going into the game already knowing what we're up against.
Right.
It's just the fact of, do we have the perfect execution to get the job done? And that's what it comes down to. I've said it since week 1, probably. You have to be perfect to beat the Chiefs. You just do. Right. I mean, there's too many variables against you. And, again, they have top tier talent as well. But I think that it helps to know that we definitely have the more talented roster on paper than probably anybody in the NFL. So, brother, you got anything else to add?
No. Great games this last weekend. It was awesome.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to not this coming week, but the following, and may the best man win. Like you said, like my hands are clean. Like, I don't want the Chiefs to win, but if they do win, Travis Kelce can retire. He can be out of our division forevermore. You know what I mean? But I prefer the Eagles to win. Let Barkley get the
Chiefs. If the Chiefs three-peat, that's something that we're going to have to take to our grave.
Yeah. Everyone.
I can't do that. I can't. It can't go down like that, man. I can't. To me, it took me. Tyler will tell you this. Braden will tell you this. Me in high school, I was probably the biggest Tom Brady hater. I was. Now, who's better? Aaron Rodgers is better. Peyton Manning's better. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do the whole Patriots dynasty, right?
Yeah.
looking back on that now, I would give anything to have the Patriots dynasty back.
Yeah.
Because at least Tom was respectable about it.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
I can't stand Patrick Mahomes.
He would take some hits too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and like it wasn't just like, I mean, obvious ones to the helmet, yes, but like he would take a hit to the gut, full body weight, jump back up. Let's go.
Yep. There was no crying. There was no whining.
Exactly. There was no flopping. There was no ref. Where's the flag? He
was doing a little bit of that. He was the NFL golden boy. He was
toward the end.
He said something. It's kind of like the Michael Jordan, LeBron, right?
Right.
They come up to the ref and they say, "Hey, bro, what's going on here?" Dude, normally it's kind of like a respect thing. Oh yeah, you're right, boss. You know what I mean?
Right.
Type deal. I've said for the longest time, Patrick Mahomes definitely stepped in that role once Tom Brady retired. The NFL needed
not only that,
like next guy, but
he's 5 years ahead of Brady.
Yeah.
At this point in his career.
Yeah.
And
that's what another Chiefs fan said the other day is, the amount of time that he's played in the Super Bowl season one, that's fine. But we can't start coming up with what ifs and hypotheticals because Tom Brady still has 7 rings.
Right.
He still has 35 playoff wins, which is the most is doubled.
Ever. Yeah.
Doubled Patrick Mahomes right now. Do I see success for Patrick Mahomes down the road? Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no shade about that. Do I think he gets to 7 Super Bowls? That's tough, man. I mean, I get it. He's what, in the year 7, 8? I think he is, something like that. Tom played 20. I get it. I don't see Patrick Mahomes playing 20 years. I just don't. I mean, if the refs keep putting him in a bubble wrap, I mean, sure. But, I think that it's just too early to tell, man. Again, people are telling me that if he three-peats, he's the automatic GOAT, and he's just the greatest quarterback to ever cut the turf, and I can't get around that. I just can't. And that's a lot for me to swallow because, again, I used to hate Tom Brady. It took me quite a long time to finally admit, after he won it with Tampa, when he left New England, I said, look, we're about to find out if it's Belichick or Brady. Right. And lo and behold, it was definitely Brady. Belichick fell off. Brady succeeded in another Super Bowl, and it is what it is. But, like I said, it took me a while to admit that. But, hey, if Patrick Mahomes gets to 7 before Tom, by all means. But, again, it's like the Michael LeBron talk, right? There's no comparison right now. It's just it's just too early. So, but brother, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We'll be live Sunday morning as well. Sunday morning, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to just cover, like I said earlier in the podcast, I'm going to do type of a Senior Bowl mock draft type deal.
Nice.
If you want to join for that, you are more than welcome to.
I appreciate it.
I'm going to do some work over the week and do some research and try to get some numbers. And I think we're going to do a full round mock draft, considering we know every team's position except for 2 teams. So we'll do picks 1 through 30, and we'll kind of give our picks and kind of compare. But it'll be exciting for sure.
Yeah, I love it.
Absolutely, brother. Well, I appreciate you, and I appreciate everybody joining in and commenting. Like I said, we will be live Sunday morning. Thank you to Sports Lounge Media for powering us and to the Mobile Brand for sponsoring us. Big stuff going on, guys. Big stuff going on. And we might actually be working out right now. Me and Sunshine State's Eagles. Go check out his page. We might actually be going down to, for me, up to Michigan for Green Bay in the draft this year. So
nice.
Be looking out for the content in that, and we're trying to plan that right now. So
awesome.
Again, appreciate everybody joining in, man. It's been fun. Just enjoy the week. Like I said, Jimmy said, clean hands, right? Clean hands.
Yep.
If you're not a Chiefs fan or an Eagles fan, you got clean hands right now, and you guys are in Cancun. So, but it's definitely the Super Bowl I wanted, man. It's the Super Bowl my soul needed, and I couldn't be more excited. So, all right, brother, I appreciate you, and we'll see you on Sunday morning.
Peace out.
Yes, sir.